Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RTD news updates. And as you can tell from today's title, we're going to be talking about the cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin and how it is surging in price, especially in the country of Zimbabwe, where I haven't really heard much about this price discovery on the mainstream news, but I thought I'll share some articles with you here to give you an idea what's going on. And so it says Bitcoin surges past 10,000. And as of now, as of today, right now, as we speak, it's a little bit above 10,000. And so as always, I have about 3 hours across I'm going to share with you, all dealing with what's happening with Zimbabwe's economy and how it seems to be an ideal prototype for what a cryptocurrency can do when government policy, along with monetary policy, fails the people, how people look for alternatives in the form of ways of storing their wealth and their value. So Bitcoin has turned out to be an option for a lot of people in Zimbabwe. But before we dive into those articles, as always, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button for more RTD news updates and interview, as well as visit the RTD University page, where you get a chance to see some of my prior interviews with author, economists, and a variety of commentators on our current monetary system and how the dollar in the days ahead may be under the same pressures as in things such as in Zimbabwe. So let's dive into today's news. So to here, I have an article here from Bloomberg Business Week, and it's called Mugabe's New Round of Money Printing Traps Mobius in Zimbabwe. And so this is kind of how leading into the idea of how this Bitcoin price is going to be spiking. Next article here on CNN is what is fueling Zimbabwe's record-breaking Bitcoin binge. And then the very next article here, last article, is from Bitcoin.com, and it says citizens of Zimbabwe use Bitcoin to access international markets. And so just to dive back into the very first one, so this article here kind of leads into why there's suddenly such a price spike in Bitcoin in Zimbabwe in dollar terms as well. And so it has to do with the idea that as of last year, Mugabe, the president there who's been in power for 30 something years or so, he's as always up to something new by shocking the markets with his last minute policies he implements. And the most recent one is putting capital controls on currency leaving the country. So a lot of people can't get their money out of the country, whether it be businesses, international businesses that do business in Zimbabwe, or just people in general. Their funds are trapped inside the country. So they're looking for places to park that money. And so they're finding new ways in the form of Bitcoin, as well as it mentions in gold and other things here. But I'll highlight a couple things here I want to share with you and give you an idea what's going on. It says foreign investors like Templeton's Mobius are trapped in Zimbabwe as citizens fearing the return of hyperinflation flood the equity market. And so because they're not able to get their money out, there's a limit on cash withdrawals from banks because there's not enough US dollars, which is their primary reserve currency there, or national currency there, because the Zimbabwe dollar failed as of the last financial depression/recession that we had in 08-09. So they're using dollars as well as yuan and the African rand as well. But to give an idea what's going on here, it talks about economic chaos has been a regular feature of investing under Mugabe's 37-year reign because of frequently blindsiding the market with policies that have devastating consequences. It says here, there's a fear in Zimbabwe. It's returning to its previous days of excessive currency printing. This all has to do with the issuing of bond notes back in November, which are supposed to be pegged at the dollar at a 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 ratio. But since then, because of cash being hard pressed there, they began printing more bond notes to where they have devalued themselves. So the fears of inflation is on the rise. So Zimbabweans are using equities as a refuge as the central bank prints hundreds of millions of its new so-called bond notes. Says they're worried inflation will spiral and want to preserve their wealth. So they're buying what they can electronically, whether it be appliances, cars, gold, property, or for those with limited resources, shares like those in African Distillers Limited that go for $1.70 each after more than doubling this month. And so basically, because people can't get the cash out, they're trying to find ways to put it so that it can preserve somewhat of its nominal value, even though purchasing power in their bond note terms are depreciating. So it gives you an idea what's going on here as far as it says seeking refuge. It says Zimbabwe investors fearing return of hyperinflation flood into stocks. And so it shows a time chart of how in the emerging markets up in the MSCI, how it's been kind of level on the playing field as far as share prices. But in Zimbabwe, it says the stock market there has almost went up 200% because you have more common folks who can't get their money out, can't do nothing with it. They're piling into the stock market, which is causing a lot of concerns for businesses there because the valuations are completely off the charts. And so it says as little as 2 years ago, it says pulling money out of Zimbabwe wasn't as hard. It says the central bank made 231 million available in 2015 to pay investors abroad to repatriate cash. But the sum fell to 5 million in 2016 and just 700,000 in the first quarter of this year. Just give you an idea what's going on here because of the currency crisis slash, just a lack of cash available. People are looking for ways to put their money and put where to put it. Now venturing into Bitcoin and other coins, I'm sure, which plays into the recent spike in altcoins altogether. But here's an article from CNN. It says, what is fueling Zimbabwe's record-breaking Bitcoin binge? So it shows some people outside a bank trying to get some cash, I'm sure. And it says the most expensive Bitcoin in the world are flying off virtual shelves in Zimbabwe. It says the price of digital currency has soared beyond 10,000 over the past week on Harare-based trading platform Golix. And so just to give you an idea what that is, it's websgolix.io. And so if you scroll down to the very bottom, it tells you what's currently happening right now. And it says as of the high for one single Bitcoin, I believe it's in dollar terms, was $12,399. And said the low is $10,250. It says it's been a change of 6.8%. So I'm assuming we're in between that gap somewhere right now in Zimbabwe. So that's what a current Bitcoin is going for in Zimbabwe. Give a little bit more here. It says the price has been high for some time and it keeps going up, says Golix trade coordinator. Says she expects soaring demand to drive the price even higher. It says Bitcoin is no longer a specialty curiosity in Zimbabwe. The virtual currency is increasingly common usage, even accepted by businesses such as car dealers. So it's becoming a more tradable currency amongst the Zimbabwe people. And then it says here, it talks about because of fear of inflation, more people are using it and getting access to it. So as a quote here, it says, Bitcoin isn't subject to central bank measures, so it has become an alternative that importers are willing to pay premium for, says Zimbabwean technology analyst. It says, pointing to a rise in business accepting currencies as payment. So more people are willing to take on the idea of paying a little bit more to get that digital currency because it retains its value more than the local currency there. And it's more plentiful than dollars, which are scarce there, it seems. And here's another quote here. It says, when confidence in national currency wavers because of monetary policy or political uncertainty, Bitcoin often behaves as a safe haven because the price is totally based on market discovery, said Nolan, director of the news site CoinDesk. So here we have, because of monetary policy and political uncertainty. So because of those two factors there, more things or options or alternatives such as cryptocurrencies, predominantly Bitcoin, because it's leading the cap market right now, will be in favor by a lot of people. So give you a little bit more here. It says, even before the currency crisis, Zimbabwe offered favorable conditions for Bitcoin adoption. It says the country ranks third on the Bitcoin market potential index created by economic historian Dr. Gary Hilleman of the University of Cambridge, just behind the inflation-plagued economies of Argentina and Venezuela. So because those countries are experiencing hard times, it's good to say Argentina and Venezuela's cryptocurrencies are becoming more popular. It says the underlying takeaway is that cryptocurrencies are here to stay and have a place in the world where monetary policy and fiat currencies cannot be trusted. So where monetary policy and national currencies can't be trusted, you can expect more surges in Bitcoin and altcoin prices. So that's what's happening there. And then the very last article here is from Bitcoin.com, kind of says the same thing, but gives a different spin to it. And so I just want to highlight one thing I mentioned. One quote that was mentioned here says, Business Consignania states that Zimbabwe citizens are adopting Bitcoin in order to access a variety of international markets. And then she tells why. It says some use it to pay for services provided outside the country, such as software. For example, a local software engineer developing an app can use Bitcoin to pay for necessary software tools. It says others use Bitcoin to, say, import a car they can use to run a small business. It says the good news with using Bitcoin for such purposes is that no foreign currency leaves a country, unlike a situation where the same person was to ask a bank to do a telegraphic transfer, which reduces the country's pressure on nostril balances. So that's kind of what's happening in the news. thought it was definitely worth mentioning because Bitcoin is getting a lot of news, being that they're currently looking at doing interest contracts rather on the COMEX market pretty soon. So that's going to definitely change the outlook of Bitcoin as it becomes a more recognizable and encouraged financial instrument by the mainstream media. So the prices probably will spike along with some manipulation here and there, but that's definitely something worth keeping an eye on. But in countries such as Zimbabwe, where they're having economic woes, there will definitely be more adaptation of cryptocurrencies into the mainstream economy because people are looking for options. And so most people don't have the awareness of the importance of monetary precious metals as a hedge against their national currency. So they have access to cell phones, which gives them a chance to download a wallet and then be able to do business amongst themselves via cryptocurrency. So this thing will continue to pick up, especially in the new year, as there be more reported cases of economies having problems where people will definitely begin finding out more about Bitcoin and Litecoin and other coins, and the price will continue to spike. And then the governments will really take notice and then be forced to take some type of action in regards to shutting down exchanges or monitoring exchanges even more than they already do. Because if people ditch their national currencies in exchange for digital currencies, there's going to be a major hiccup in revenues received by governments, which will force them to try to take action or adapt along with it. So that's just what's happening in the news. Hope you found it informative. I would love to hear your thoughts on what's happening with the cryptocurrency. Seems like it's here to stay. So there's going to be more news about it coming. And so definitely something worth checking into for yourself if you're interested. And as always, I don't give financial advice, but yet I encourage people to think outside the box and to look for alternatives to their national currencies, which will in times ahead prove to be a somewhat of a liability for the people as governments and policies continue to try to inflate away and debase the currencies for the sake of funding their national debt. So just share my thoughts here. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your comments below. And if you're new to RTD, click the subscribe button for more to come. Thanks.